Thank you. So I saw the gentleman in the green in the back had his hand up first. You don't have to keep your hand up. I will come to the next person while they're answering the first question. And I'll just make my way through everyone. So sir, what was your question?
I asked for U-Serve a few times and there were none available. Do I have to arrange for one in advance? You have every U-Serve?
User, did we hear that question?
I have a question. Are you asking why your trips have not been assigned to U-Serve?
There were none available. I asked, there were none available and nobody knows. Do I have to arrange for one in advance, a few days in advance?
This is Richard Mitchell, the director of CBS. So our policy at SacRT GO is that you don't know when you make your reservation whether you're going to get a user or going to get a SacRT GO vehicle. So it could be either one or the other, but there's no guarantee of a user. There's no guarantee of a SacRT GO. So requesting specifically a user vehicle is not allowed in our policy, and it isn't in our process of how we're taking the trips or assigning the trips to user.
And Margie, I saw that you were next. I'm coming over to you.
Oh, thank you for the wonderful presentation. I have a comment to I'm Margie Donovan. I have a comment to RT staff. I hope future meetings that we will ask it to be a scent-free environment. I'm having challenges. That's of high importance to me, and I bet there's others. But I want to address the elephant in my room, maybe not in this room. I had a wonderful U-Serve driver named George that brought me down here. When I got in the vehicle, he said I could put my dog on the seat. I said, my dog is a seeing eye dog, and he rides on the floor. He proceeded to tell me, I've heard this from at least 3 U-Serve drivers, about some lady in Sacramento, it's not a guide dog, has a service animal, and her dog rides on the seat, causing U-Serve drivers to go out of service to vacuum their seats. I want to know from U-Serve, what are you guys doing to educate the drivers on what to expect from service dog handlers? Thank you.
Jess, are you going to take that?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Margie, for letting me know about your trip today, especially. And we reach out, we have a driver success team that when we understand there's something going on in the community space, we get them activated immediately to reach out at times to all of the drivers in a service area. And we can do that here in Sacramento to all of the drivers individually, talk to them and help make sure that they understand the policy and the expectations. And then when we understand when there is a specific trip where we can identify with a specific driver, and Margie, it sounds like, today with your driver, we want to reach out to them directly and reinforce and remediate the training with them individually. If it continues to be a trend, we'll remediate with all of the drivers in the network.
Yeah. If I could just add real quick, this is Ron. When I joined the company, I actually took the training that we offer to the drivers, which they are required to pass a certification. And I took I actually, except I didn't pass the physical, I could drive. So anyway, you don't want me to, but I took the training, and I will tell you that the service animal training is a module, and the training that the drivers have to pass includes questions. It's not just watch a video and then you're done. You actually have to take a test. I actually failed one of the modules and I had to retake it. So it's real, and the training does actually say that service animals belong on the floor. So this is a case where what probably happens is that drivers, they're like other people, they usually do this work because they care and they're trying to be nice, and they're probably trying to accommodate somebody who maybe isn't doing things the way they should. And so we just have to reinforce that. So I think letting RT know so that we can know and follow up is the best thing that you can do.
And so, I see hands. I will be there, I promise, but I'm making my way. I don't have to keep them up. I promise I'll get there.
I just wanted to add on to that, that the SacRT GO staff, we monitor all of the complaints that come in. And as those complaints come in, we address those directly with the user team. And we're constantly making sure, like looking for any type of patterns or any issues that are going on and making sure that basically holding user accountable with their drivers, that these type of issues are addressed and as much as possible reduced or eliminated.
I go to the Art Mall, JC Penney's pickup, and 9 times out of 10, the drivers do not know where the pickup is at JC Penney's. And it cost me like half an hour to a 45 minutes just a couple of days ago. He had instructions just to go to the back of the mall, and it had no JC Penney's. And this happens on a regular basis. And another thing, we get all these random numbers from UServe. Why is there not a number that would say UServe now? Because they just have different area codes. And with a lot of scams and stuff going on, you just don't answer, and then the drivers, which I understand, they get kind of frustrated because we don't answer. But I mean, can they at least identify themselves? This is a big problem. Because then I'll block them and then they'll never get through.
I am nodding my head. Yes, that is, I'm glad that you brought that up. That is something we are actively working towards with our, with the phone company that we do all of our, phone communications through. So there's a couple of things about that, and I'll share just a little bit. So a driver, they have all of that trip information communicated to them through our driver app. And then I'll back up to the JCPenney entrance, but I want to talk about the phone first real quick. And in their app, all they see is a button that says call rider. Your number is for safety reasons, very specifically masked from them. And we want to mask, their number too, for their privacy and safety reasons. And so we have a telephone service that we work through to do that. And I have heard a couple of times in different spaces that it looks like spam. I think is to your point, right? And right, I don't answer spam calls. I don't answer calls that I don't know. So we are working to have that reflect the user and the caller ID. When our operations team calls you, not the driver, but that can take some time, as you've experienced in trying to get the driver to the right JCPenney location.
And it's not in the front.
Yep.
It wastes a lot of time.
Yeah.
The user team, that number should show up as user, but we're working with our company to make that more consistent for all riders, or for all phone calls and phone calls that come from the drivers as well, for exactly the reason that you bring up. So it's, thank you for bringing that up here, because I didn't touch on it earlier. With regards to the location information and being able to get to the right part of JCPenney, when we receive the trip information, we receive the address. Sometimes in the trip notes, which a driver can see once they're on the trip, it could say JCPenney there. That would be a communication point when you're booking the trip with the reservation agent, and in large part exactly why our oversight team is there to help them get to the right place at a facility for you, knowing clearly sometimes, unfortunately, that can take a considerable amount of time, but our drivers cannot leave a place until they have made that contact with us, with you, if we can do it, with SacRT GO if we need to get them involved.
Okay, I have one more question right back here, and then I'm going to take an online question. I will be back, I promise. I'm right here for your question.
Okay. I would like to know, at one time paratransit was going to Delta Shore. Are they going to ever go back to Delta Shore?
Okay. Is Kathy or Richard?
Okay, with that's a challenging question for me, being new. But what I understand is currently we do not have a fixed route that goes out into that area. And so since we're a complimentary ADA paratransit service, we need to be able to have the fixed route going out there for us then to be able to service that area.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the
Oh, shoot.
the special Christmas time program that paratransit ran And that was only for a limited period of time. And in most parts- You need a microphone.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Well, all right. What do you guys want me to do? Because we're supposed to keep moving with the questions.
The paratransit service to Delta Shores was for a limited period of time when Paratransit Inc., who had the service before it was moved into RT, had just a Christmas special to go have service to Delta Shores. It was only for a limited time, and even they did not intend that to be permanent. And so then once that period of time was over, that service stopped, and then Richard's comments reflect accurately what Regional Transit has.
Yep. And then I will also take that into consideration in the future.
Okay,
Thank
next
you, Tara.
we are taking an online question from Sarah.
Yes.
You are now unmuted. You can talk. Ask
Hello.
your question.
Hi. I'm actually here sitting way in the back. I'm back. So my question is, I've had a bunch of drivers in general just come up to the back of my chair without asking if they can push, and just going up to me and pushing me in my chair. Honestly, that is not proper wheelchair etiquette. Is there any way that we can inform drivers in general, because it's been more than one or two, that we can inform drivers that you do not push a manual wheelchair without the client or whoever you're driving, without them saying so? Because that is just, if somebody can push themselves, let them push themselves and be as independent as possible.
Was this just a statement? I didn't hear a question.
It's a question.
Yeah, I heard it.
Drivers do not push manual chairs unless the client asks.
So they're asking, could you hear that, Richard?
Yeah, I got that. One of the things that would help us address this in a timely manner is I would really suggest that when this occurs, to call in and put in a complaint so that we can have it documented and follow through, and we can identify the driver, and we can do additional training with that driver, because currently we have a pretty rigid, we call it ODP, Operator Development Program, where we go over all of those specific issues, and they're trained with existing training staff that drives our system. And so that we can make sure that that etiquette and that process is followed. And also, if it is happening with the user system, then that way I can address it with them through the complaints process.
Yeah, and just to add, this is Ryan.
The user drivers
Are expected to provide door-to-door service, but door-to-door service is really
what the customer needs.
a lot of customers need the
Drivers
driver to push,
but some customers do not.
and the driver needs to respect the wishes of the customer. So if you have an issue with the driver, and it doesn't just have to be pushing your wheelchair.
If you're a blind
Person and the driver grabs your arm without your permission to try to guide you, or if the driver tries to do something else that you've not asked for, you certainly have a right. No one should be touching your body or your possessions or your mobility device or your animal without your permission and without your request. So please tell us so that we can help make sure they understand what door-to-door service means and what it doesn't.
Okay, I have a question here.
Hi, Thomas Tanaka here. Tuesday, April 18th, 2023, a return ride from Raleigh Freeport, 4690 Freeport Boulevard. Ready time was 3:30 p.m. The bus didn't arrive till 4:20 p.m. past my half-hour window. On Monday, April 17th, from my house, 1420 34th Avenue to Raleigh's, to Bel Air, 1301 Flint Road. Ready time 8:30 a.m. But bus didn't arrive till 9:20 a.m. Doesn't the dispatcher realize that happened 2 days in a row way past my half-hour window without calling me, mentioning my bus is running behind schedule.
Thank you for your comment. We are currently looking at our on-time performance, and the SacRT GO team is, looking at resources and ideas and things that we can do to help improve that. One of the things that has happened to us in the past couple of months, our ridership has really increased. In fact, in March, we're basically at 82% of what pre-COVID ridership was with PI or Paratransit Inc. And so we're having to adjust to that and looking at some of the other processes we can put in place to help with that. And one of them is also Kathy and I and the assistant managers teams have talked about getting more in tune with seeing where the trips are late, contacting the passengers, letting them know what's occurring, and then also addressing the peak times, because we have been able to evaluate our data and look at what time of day and even the week, the day of the week where we're running late, and trying to appropriately put our resources in those areas, utilizing user where we can, even if we're increasing the number of trips we're providing to them. And then also, offering overtime to our drivers, but we can't require them to. And there's various other ideas that we're trying out and working with the team over at Paratransit, Sacramento RT GO.
A couple of things I do want to mention. We are hiring. So if you know anyone, we're hiring. And also for this open session, we can't talk to specific instances. We're going to be able to speak generally, but we can't take case by case for this open session. If you want to stay after and there's something you want to deal with, or if not, we can contact us afterwards as well. So I'm going to continue with questions.
Hi, my name is Patricia Clark, and first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for providing this paratransit service to me, because it's been great. I don't have to keep asking my family to take me here, take me there. I really like this service. I have two quick things I want to ask. I want to possibly have you to, since you're going to be looking into stuff, I would like to be able to ask for certain drivers that I have gotten to trust. I mean, on the U-Serve that I trust and I feel comfortable with. And so I would like you to possibly put that in your agenda to look at, that we can possibly ask for certain drivers that we have gotten to know. Okay, and then secondly, I would like to know, how do I get, because when I first started, I used to get notices to let me know when the driver was coming and how much time I had before it got there. But now I don't have that anymore. I'd like to know how I can get that back on my phone, because that will help a lot for me. So I won't have to call Paratransit and push number 3 and ask for the status of the bus or the ride.
Yeah, thank you for your question. So on selecting specific drivers, that is not in line with the SacRT GO policy. That is a very hard type of request to provide. It's almost impossible in our industry, and I've been in this industry for 35 years, to be able to accommodate that. So our policy is right now is structured that, even with the user vehicle, whatever shows up is what is assigned to you. If you're having specific issues, again, like I said before, with the on time, make sure you call in so that we can investigate specific issues with drivers that you may not be feeling comfortable with, or that you, feel aren't providing the service that you would like.
Okay, I have another question here.
I didn't quite understand what qualifies you for U-Serve.
Qualifications. Jess, do you want to take that?
I'll take it. Is this for eligibility to ride paratransit or for U-Serve specifically?
For user.
The qualifications
do
to
that.
just ride our system, the SacRT GO system, is the same, whether it's going to be a user trip or a paratransit GO trip. The difference is that that users trips are ambulatory trips. So there are not lift ability or vehicles with lifts. And then also depending on the type of passengers that we're transporting, whether they or not they need that additional assistance. Maybe there's a cognitive scenario that then we keep them with the SacRT GO system.
Can I just, Jessica, it's Priscilla.
I was like, where's it coming from? Go ahead.
So what I want to do is we'll go back to a virtual question after this next question.
I have two more and then we can go to virtual.
All right,
Right
but-
here. I have
but
two
I-
more right here.
But I also want to stress that we have a number of folks in the hallway. And I'd like for them, I see their hands are up as well.
Okay, I'll get out there.
Okay, great. Just want folks to know in the hallway that we haven't forgotten about
We're
you.
coming.
We know that you
We're coming.
also may have questions. So.
Okay, I have two questions here. Then I'm gonna do online, then I'm gonna go out in the hallway.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
I take paratransit and a smart ride. And I heard another question about paratransit, so I want to ask that. And the smart ride, I've never heard of UServe before, so this is good information. But I take smart ride a lot, and sometimes it's good, just 4 minutes for a ride, or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But sometimes it's an hour, and sometimes they say no rides available, no rides available. And I hear a lot of the smart ride drivers saying that they're talking about canceling smart ride altogether. And it's a really good service. I live in a senior apartment and we all take, well, most of us take smart ride.
No, we agree. Smart Ride is good. It is a ride share. It is a ride share, but I will turn it over to Richard if you want to expand more about our Smart Ride program, which is different.
Yeah, our Smart Ride program is different than the SacRT GO paratransit service, but you can utilize that as an additional resource to get around. There is a limitation of how long the wait would be, where when it in the app, once it gets past a certain time period, then it will not allow you to schedule a trip. And so that's where sometimes you'll get where we'll be there pretty quickly, and sometimes no, you cannot schedule because the app has, with the software, is determined it's going to be too long for us to get there, and those are same day trips. Now, on it being canceled, I think there's just some overall confusion on that, because when you look for funding, sometimes you get the funding from state or federal, and it's a limited test funding, and that time period ran out. But no, Smart Ride is not going away, and so it'll be staying.
Okay, I have another question here and then I'm taking one online. I will be back, I promise.
Hi, my name is Denise Jackson, and I ride the paratransit every morning. And I'll be having problems with some drivers. So a couple of them be like cussing at me, and I have a mental problem. And some days that sometimes I'll be a little upset because I'll be running out of my meds. And one of them told me to get the F off the bus. And I have a mental problem, and they call dispatch on me for no apparent reason. Just like this one guy, the driver, so I hit him with the belt buckle, and I'm waiting back of the bus in my electric scooter, and I get suspended off paratransit for no apparent reason, for no reason at all. Some of these drivers need to be respect. I mean, we need respect. If you want respect, you gotta get it. Because some of these bus drivers, you guys don't know, some of these bus drivers be on cell phones while they be on work, talking on the husband and wives. Keep your personal business at home.
Well, one of the things Richard said before, and I'm sure he's going to say again, we always want to hear any of these issues right away. These are major issues that we don't want going on, and we want to hear from you about it.
I'll be telling my bus driver, hey, I'm not feeling good. I need to be home by a certain time so I can take my pain meds or my because I have congestion heart failure, and you're gonna tell me if you don't like it, you can get the F on the bus. Why cuss at me? I didn't do nothing wrong to you.
Yeah,
Richard, you want to expand?
yeah. In our system and our training in our operator development program, we have sensitivity training. And that is a really important part of the training process for how our drivers interact with our passengers. Our passengers, the variety of different types of needs, a variety of different ways of handling each individual. And that when a driver, especially any type of profanity, that's unacceptable. And on the paratransit GO vehicles, they all have video surveillance systems on it that we can request, review, and then we can address those issues on an individual basis. But we do need to hear about those. So don't think that you're like getting a driver in trouble or I don't want to waste my time. They don't do anything about it. Because I can tell you for a fact, every single complaint that comes in, whether it's microtransit like SmartRide, GO, any of my services, I get an email on my phone, on my computer, every day, every hour. Sometimes they feel like I get punched in the gut because of what is said. And with how long I've been doing this as a career is unacceptable. And I definitely take this serious. I follow through on them. And Kathy, who's sitting next to me, there's some times where we get a response from our supervisors and I'm questioning those. I'm like, are you sure? Can you give me more detail? Why are we thinking nothing happened there? It seems more serious. So I am taking the lead. I am following through on those. And I do need those coming in, and every one I read individually.
Thank you, Richard. I am taking an online question now from Lisa Cooley. You are now unmuted. Lisa Cooley, you're unmuted to ask your question.
I will. I have a question and a comment. My question is, when will you serve be expanded to include wheelchair users? And my comment is, I think that the older buses on paratransit need to be reconfigured somehow to make them have a smoother ride for wheelchair users and other people who frequently ride the buses to get where they need to
So what I
go.
heard was some of the older SacRT GO shuttles asking if they can be reconfigured. And then also I heard if user will ever be able to take mobility devices or wheelchairs. So Richard can take that.
Yeah, currently we do not have that arrangement with user for them to be able to transport wheelchair passengers. We refer to that as a wave system. We are looking into it, and it may be something that we're able to address down the road. On the issue with the vehicles and the wheelchairs and the configurations, those are usually set when you order the vehicles and by the factory. And so having those rearranged is a little more difficult, but I can turn this over to Albert if he was able to hear, for him to give input on reconfiguring vehicles.
So one of the things we do is we order a standard cutaway for the GO services. So what you'll see is that same bus, the same cutaway throughout the service. So it has 5 tie down positions and 8 seating positions. We do this on purpose so that the riders have the same experience. You don't have to figure out the seating arrangement. People that may be visually impaired, they'll know where the seats are. It's a standard vehicle. So we don't try to reconfigure it on purpose, because then you'll have to have new training and new information out to all the passengers. We currently have 16 more brand new vehicles on order. They're going to be the exact configuration that we currently use at the same time right now.
Okay, I have a question for out in the hallway.
Hi, my name is Mary. Kathy, hi, how are you doing? I have 3 comments for the lady that just talked about how some of your drivers are really rude, cussing. That happens very, very frequently. My second comment is there's a policy about no eating, drinking. I have taken SacRT and SacRT GO, and your drivers are allowed to eat, drive at the same time on their cell phones at the same time on the freeways. I've had several drivers do that to me. I've called in, those drivers are still driving And that really, really needs to be addressed. And the third one is the time frame, your time frame about calling and making, oh, I need to be somewhere at the doctor's like at 11:30. Well, like today, I understand stressful, but for events like this, if you're telling us that we want to be here at a certain time, that's what the time that we should be here. If it's going to be a problem, then you need to have more drivers and more buses out for these kind of events to where we can get to where we're at the same time for appointments or court or wherever we have to be. If we have to be there by a certain time, if we're late, even for court or anything or anywhere else, it falls back on us. And then we have to reschedule and have to make our appointments. And that's just not really fair to us. And I don't know how we can get this resolved, because I know there's other clients here that are going through the same thing as me. Drivers cussing, late, being rude. I don't know how we can address this, because this is a really, really bad issue that needs to be addressed.
Richard, I don't know if you want to continue to comment on that.
Yeah, again, like I said before, this all to help get this corrected, it's kind of like a two-way street. I need to get the information from you guys. You have to call in when this occurs. We're able to pull the video, the comments or the scenarios that you gave about eating, drinking on cell phones while driving, completely unsafe behaviors, not acceptable, very dangerous thing to occur. And we do not want our drivers doing that. We want to be able to address those and address those appropriately through the processes that we have in place. So let's see, especially like with the cussing, eating, drinking, the on time on the windows that we're giving you are based upon our ridership load and what we're able to do with the trip at the time. We do recognize over the past several months, we're having some on-time performance issues that we're currently addressing. As I said earlier, trying to make improvements on that. We have a variety of kind of ideas that the team is giving from SacRT GO, all the way from the dispatchers, reservationists, the assistant managers, Kathy, to help improve that. And even in the past couple of weeks, we've tried some ideas and have seen really positive results and have identified the areas where we need to make our put our resources to appropriately help address those. And then also utilizing users as much as we're able to. So in some cases, we're sending every single trip that is booked for the day that is eligible to go to user. So we're looking at options, we're looking outside the box, and we're including the whole team and trying to find the solutions so that we can better improve this. But one of the things that has really affected us is just the number of increases of trips that we're starting to provide. Looking at some of our recent data, like March is for the entire previous 12 months, the highest ridership we've ever had. And like I said previously, we're almost to 80%, we're at 82% of pre-pandemic trips based upon what Paratransit Inc. was reporting. So we're having to adjust with that. We have a lot of drivers hired, a lot of training going on. And with that, I'll reference, just because we have drivers and they're trained, doesn't mean that when we release them, they're always going to do the right thing. So we need to hear that feedback from you guys.
Yeah. I have another question, a couple more out here in the hall, and I see the hands in there. I'm trying to get there, I promise.
Good afternoon. My name is Sharon Stender. I'll make this short because there's other people that want to contribute today's event. I just want to say I take the paratransit, and I'm grateful that they come and they pick me up. And I live in North Highlands, and they come as punctual as they can. They're very considerate and very helpful. I just want to say thank you to them. So I'm a paratransit rider, and they assist me with the lift with my walker. And so I just want to say thank you for the care and the kindness. And my husband, John, who's not here today, he's very appreciative like I am, and he rides with me, not all the time, but I ride it and I'm grateful. And I do the 60-day pass, which has just been a blessing. So I'm lucky. I feel lucky and blessed. And it's a thank you.
Thank you. We love thank yous. All right.
You're welcome. And one of the other things I would like to add is like a meeting like we're having right now, a lot of the information you're giving us is really valuable feedback. All this is going to do is make this system better for you guys and for SacRT GO. And so the information and the feedback you're giving right now, I just want to thank you guys and say this is very valuable and we are taking it very seriously. So thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Vita Bishop and I am a driver for USERV. I am so grateful and thankful for this position that you guys allow me to transfer all these wonderful people. But one thing I wanted to mention, and this is very key, just like Jess said just a little while ago, without the drivers, all these people will not be taken absolutely nowhere. So we are also essential part of this wonderful group. Now, one question that I have as a driver, and this question goes for Kathy and Jess, which you are both in charge, one from user and the other one for SacRT. When you guys releases the rides for the next day, you release the rides for the next days in between starting at 3 p.m., which is absolutely rush hour for us as the driver. Now we talk about safety and all those people that are driving and on the phone and all of that. I tell you what, I hardly ever get any rides because now the rides are released for the next day at 3 o'clock. By the time I'm done with the rider, I don't have enough time to go and look for the new rides to pick for my next day's schedule. And when I do have 1 or 2 minutes, all the rides are gone and only the $13 ones are available. Can I fit myself with 13 bucks? So my question to both ladies are, before Thanksgiving, and I'm very task oriented, okay? Before Thanksgiving, they were releasing the rides. User was releasing the rides for the next days and between 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. I remember sitting in my couch waiting for that time to pick my rides for the next day. Now at 3 o'clock when I'm driving, safety for me is number one. How do you expect for the drivers, the good drivers, they're out there, but how do you want me to get and move on for the next day when you release all those rides in a rush hour time, which before it was released after 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., where things were calm a little bit more. And I'd like for you to consider that. And I don't know if it's going to be any answer to it, but to me, in my head, safety for me is number one, and for these people as well. Thank you.
I'm happy to start. Actually, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming today. I'm excited to have a driver here. It really, I appreciate your being here. Really awesome. My driver success team is going to be really stoked too. So thanks for being here. And I hear you, right? I think so from a user perspective, we want to actually, your comments about safety first, we couldn't agree more. And it's definitely something for us to consider. There were some changes that have been made between us and SacRT GO, and understanding that timing is a real issue because that's a heavy drive period. We can actually absolutely work together to talk on when's a much better time where everybody has access to the trips, where it's not as busy a time period. So, yep, absolutely. 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 Thank you for bringing that up. And I don't know, Kathy, if you have anything you want to add, but I can tell you that we'll absolutely work together with Kathy and Richard to look at different timing. You bet. You bet.
Yes, we'll definitely, this is Kathy Sajan, and we'll definitely work with USERV and see if we can't do that a little later in our day. Okay.
And I have another question out here. Then I promise I'm coming to the lady in the purple. I know I'm coming for you.
Yes, my name is Geraldine McClellan, and my question is, are you guys ever going to be able to go to West Sacramento area?
Question is about going to West Sacramento.
Currently, what I know about that is it's out of our jurisdiction. And it's another one of those ADA requirements of fixed route service and then us being complimentary service to that. And so when you look at the map of where the fixed route service goes and then how many, I think it's miles outside of that service area that we then can go to, we're limited and prevented from going to those areas that do not fall within that kind of mapping area.
Okay, I have another question here.
In answer to that, I used to go to UC Davis. So I left Davis and I went to the edge of the West Sacramento. And then I changed buses and I came into town. And so that's how I did it. And with respect to the lady who was having problems being late, I worked myself out a plan. And like if I need to get to the doctor at 2:00, I pay attention to how busy at that moment is going to be the traffic. And so they have a half-hour window and I give them an hour window. And then if it's close, I just add another half hour. But like if I want a 2:00, if I have a 2:00 appointment in Citrus Heights, I give them 3 hours to get there because I'd rather be there early than late. So I do have an issue with the Smart Ride buses, and it's not with the drivers. The drivers are wonderful, but in fact, all the drivers I've had, you had one guy that was really obnoxious, and you guys fired him because I complained 5 times in 4 days. But so I was really grateful for that because he was actually dangerous too, because when he got mad at you, he would cuss you out. Then he would drive 55 miles an hour down Auburn Boulevard when it was full of traffic and weave in and out. And it was very scary. And he ran every single red light. But you guys got rid of him, and I thank you for that. But on Tuesday, this past week, I was riding, I rode paratransit to get me to the downtown library. They dropped me off in this great big massive alleyway that they have. And it's really easy to just get off the bus at the corner of it. And it's extra, it's like 3 lanes wide. And so it's not just a tiny little alleyway. And they take big trucks in there. And so that's where they dropped me off. And then I had forgotten all my paperwork, so I couldn't go upstairs and type anything. So I called the Smart Ride. I canceled my other rides with paratransit and I called Smart Ride. And they said to it'll be there at a certain time. I assumed that it would be picking me up the same place that I was dropped off. And I waited there an extra hour. Finally, I called and I said, it still hasn't come. Oh, were you a no-show? Were you out front? And I said, no, because I Street is one way heading towards the freeway. And if you drop the lift there, you're going to drop the lift in the middle of the lane. And so you can't pick me up there. And so they said, well, you were a no-show, so we'll have to schedule a new ride. And I said, okay, can I stand across the street? Absolutely no. And I said, okay, so where can you pick me up where I'll be safe? Well, just wait out front of the library. And I'm going, okay, I can't believe that they're that stupid, but I need to go home. So I waited out there. No bus went down I Street. I was sitting right there in the middle of it, and I was willing to go ahead and get on the lift out in the middle of the street just so I could get home. I was listed as a no-show again. And then I finally got them to give me a ride, picking me up in the alley. I was a no-show again because nobody ever went down the alley. So then I got them to agree to pick me up on the other side of I Street, right in front of the old post office. I was a no-show again because they never showed up. And so finally I called and made another ride reservation. By this time it's after 4 and I was starting about 11 o'clock. And so it's around 4 And so I called again and they said, well, he's waiting for you. He's on 9th Street. And I said, he's on 9th Street. Yes, he's at the corner of I Street, but he's on 9th. And I said, well, thank you very much for finally telling me where I'm supposed to be to get picked up, because all the other places you told me to be, I was at and nobody picked me up. And then on Thursday, I was waiting at 2725 Capitol Avenue. It's a great big massive medical building for Sutter. It's hard to miss, but the dispatch said to wait at 28th and Capitol. So he was on the other side of the street, way at the corner on the other end of the block. I didn't see him until finally I looked over there because there was somebody honking. I looked over there and lo and behold, at the very edge of that block was a paratransit truck, a bus. And if I hadn't looked over there because somebody was honking crazy, they were going down 28th or 27th Street, I never would have looked over there. And they said, well, your bus driver's there. And I said, no, he's not. I'm sitting right at where the alleyway is, where everybody pulls in so that he doesn't have to pull in and get stuck. And I'm sitting right at the entrance and no Smart Ride bus has gone past me. Well, he's right there. Can't you see? This is, that was the second time in 2 days that had happened to me. Why don't those dispatchers know that they need to put down 2728 at 25 Capitol Avenue instead of the at 28th and Capitol? Because the bus driver had no idea where I was and I didn't know where he was. And that on Tuesday, when they kept telling me to stand in front of the library, where it's impossible to safely get on the bus, drop the lift or anything. Why don't they tell you, okay, the bus is going to pick you up at night on 9th Street at I Street? That would have been so simple, but it was over 4 hours before somebody finally told me to do that. That's insane because I talked to 5 different dispatchers before the 5th one finally knew where I was supposed to be.
And did you say this was SacRT GO or Smart Ride?
Smart Ride.
Okay, so we can talk about Smart Ride for a second, talking about corner to corner versus how SacRT GO does on the exact address. So that could be some of the confusion there, but obviously not acceptable. Richard, I don't know if you want to give a quick summary about that.
We can look into it and then we can get back to you. Okay.
Oh, I have another question here.
Hi, my name is Colleen. I've been riding paratransit for 30 years. God bless paratransit. It has dramatically improved the quality of my life. I did my bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary humanities at Holy Names University in Oakland. So I would have never been able to get there on Amtrak because it's at the top of the hill. So I would get off at the Jack London Amtrak station, and then I would have the Oakland paratransit take me up to my campus. So God bless you. But there's a serious problem with the Smart Ride. I'm very grateful for Smart Ride. It's a brilliant idea, but that app does not work. It's my understanding when Smart Ride launched a couple of years ago, there was a terrific app. It was perfect. There was no problems. And then for some reason, I don't know, some administrator with a master's degree who doesn't really understand, cancel that app. And the app that is work now, all the drivers and customer service told me that Regional Transit knows that app doesn't function. So what I do is I call the customer service number from 7 a.m. to 7:30, and I can book a Smart Ride over the phone. But from 7:30 to 9, the customer service office is closed. So then I'm just stuck and I can't get a Smart Ride. So I understand, it's a line item in the budget, but this needs to be a high priority. You need to get a working app installed. And I have 2 different cell phones, so it's not my cell phone. And I've called customer service at Smart Ride, and they said at the highest level, Henry Lee knows that this app doesn't work and it doesn't function. I live in a senior building at 16th and F. The address is 1616 F Street. So I type that into the Smart Ride app, and then it says Fat Alley. Well, Smart Ride drivers don't pick up and drop off in alleys because there's a lot of crime in alleys. It's a safety issue. And also alleys are a very finite space that the Smart Ride bus can't turn around. So when is that app going to get changed? And I don't know if it's on a contract with a vendor. You can cancel that contract with the current vendor because it's breach of contract. It's a non-functioning app. When do you anticipate you could get a different app installed for Smart Ride?
With the Smart Ride app that we're having provided to us by the company that we're contracted with, we do meet with them on a regular basis. I think it's bi-weekly. I'm on those calls. We do address any type of efficiencies that occur with their software. Again, I apologize. I don't want to use this as an excuse, but I'm getting up to speed, and I am not fully aware of all the issues that are with that app. I'm really up to speed on the SacRT GO software for scheduling, but I'm getting up to speed with the app and the company that for Smart Ride. And so I definitely will be addressing that with them. And I think it's this week on Wednesday or Thursday, my boss, Carmen Alba, the vice president of bus, and myself have a meeting scheduled with that company. And so we will be addressing that directly with them and looking at what we can do to resolve this in a.
When is a new app get installed? That's the question I have. You know that the app doesn't function. The drivers told me the highest level of RT management knows that Smart Ride app doesn't function. I asked really specific, when will the app be replaced?
At this point, I don't have enough data to be able to, or even information to be able to know where we're at with that, where we're, when that will occur, but I definitely can get back to you on it and let you know.
And just to add, really quick, we understand the frustration. I have been assisting with Smart Ride for a little while, and I have been on those phone calls that he's saying. As he mentioned, we can't really tell you right now, and we will talk about when and what we can do with the app and changing or any of that if it's possible. But we do encourage you to please continue to call us with the exact, even if it means you sending snapshots of what's happening, because we do take all those to VIA and make sure that we follow up and open tickets and meet with them. So I'm sorry we can't give you an exact answer, but please continue to give us your feedback so we can continue to address the issues that are coming up.
I'm gonna interrupt.
I'm happy to stay behind and have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
This is Carmen.
There's.
Walk out. Thank you.
Carmen's gonna go talk.
Okay.
I have an,
Jessica.
yeah, go ahead, Priscilla.
We are just past the 2:30 hour. I want to stress that we have a lot of folks in this room, and it's becoming difficult for people on mobility devices to get through or with their service animal, their walker. Please be patient, pay attention if there is anyone that's trying to come through. We have standing room only at this point. We have a lot of questions still remaining, and I will be going back to a virtual question. Jessica,
I have 3 more right here that I
When
have
I
to
have
do.
Stephanie.
I
ask
know,
a
I have
question.
these guys over here too.
So everybody's been waiting, and I want to minimize the amount of time that we spend on the question. So I as Jessica had mentioned earlier, we're not necessarily, I know you have specific concerns about a particular trip. We're not necessarily going to be able to do a lot of responding to that today. But certainly there's always opportunity to share that with us afterwards. So if you can parse out 2 more folks where you're at, but then I have Stephanie here, and then we're going to do a virtual.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. My name's Vicky, and I want to stand up for the drivers. We have excellent drivers, and yes, and they're compassionate, they're loving, they're like family. And I think for, let's see, Richard, I have some ideas to put on your agenda. I think we need to look, I don't know how many drivers you have to have on payroll at a certain time, Someone told me it was 125. I don't know if that's true, but a proposal needs to be written up because as Sacramento is growing and more clients are coming aboard, then you need to have more drivers. So that needs to change. I know you can't do it, but I think a proposal needs to be written up. And also you need to look at what you're offering the drivers. They need more money. They are a specialty drivers. They're out there, they're lifting, they're getting hurt, and they need to have increase in pay, cost of living, I mean, all that. And so I just want to say thank you very much. And I thank everyone here. And I know it's very stressful. And I just want to say thank you. And I applaud everyone.
Thank you very much. I have a question right over here.
Hi, my name's Diane Trees, and I've taken U-Serve, and it's been like 6 months ago after I complained a little bit. One of my issues is I don't do computers, I don't do text messages and all that. So when the drivers come to my house, they must ring my doorbell so that I know they're out there. And they need to also have in their file that they're picking up a visually impaired person. But the drivers have been wonderful. The only complaint that I had was making sure that they come to the door. But in the last 6 months, I've had buses, just buses. And so I was wondering, since U-Serve picks up 25% for RT GO, is there a way to increase that to like 50% and give RT GO a little more help? And the one lady's right about the drivers need more pay because they do a lot for us. I think the drivers are wonderful. I've been riding since 1982 and the drivers have been great, except just 1 or 2 times I've had issues, but very, very, very few. But I just want to make sure they come to the door when they get to my house.
Richard, anything to share there?
Okay. Basically sharing the info about the wages and what the drivers are receiving. I mean, we continue to work with our labor partners, discuss our working conditions, the wages, all of that leads to supporting a really successful paratransit system. And currently our labor relation team is working with ATU and having discussions about that. So we're trying whatever, whatever avenues we have to address those areas. Now, increasing to 50%, just as we're having challenges getting drivers, users also has challenges getting drivers, but we're working on that and we're looking at ways that we can increase that. And in some cases, we do go above the 25%, trying to get more passengers to users so that we can help us with our on-time performance.
Thank you. I have another question here and then I'm coming around this side.
Yes, I'm Armando Hernandez. I've been a writer for a few years now, and I'd like to also address about today. For people who had specific complaints, perhaps you can give them an email address or a number to call so we don't have to, sit through these long stories and such. But everybody's complaints are valid. I'm not trying to say that, but there should be a place dedicated to that, obviously. But that being said, that's not my question. My question was actually about SmartRide and RT GO as a whole, and how exact change is required, and there's no like electronic payment thing. For example, I have to like buy coupons in advance of knowing that I have stuff the next week or whatever, which isn't a great system. And that's really my only question / comment.
We do have Zip Pass. I don't know, Kathy, or does someone want to talk about we do have an app where you can purchase fare on the app. And then we also, does SacRT GO take Connect Card or no? They don't take it. SmartRide does if you have Connect Card. But yeah, the drivers can't make change. That's the challenge, but there is the Zip Pass. And then we will share a phone number as well and an email address where you can send your specific complaints. We will have that. And I had a question over here.
Yes. Hi, my name is Sandra Stewart. It's sort of a 3-part comment / questions. There's a real lack of flexibility for riders if they need more time Like, some of us are disabled. We can't like jet out of the house in 5 minutes. So there's a real lack of flexibility for us, even though we might wait for you guys for 3 hours. And then the other thing is that sometimes we get left because we're not done within 5 minutes. And the other day I was told by a driver that I should have been waiting outside for him for over 2 hours. I'm sorry, I had to write this down. And then the problem with the lateness, and I know you guys know you're late, but missing important appointments where we have to reschedule, these are medical appointments, and we're relying on you guys for those medical appointments. I'm not going to sit here and complain about individual drivers, but there are serious problems with individual drivers. And there's a real power shift. They have control of our life. And the other thing I want to say about that is please add to your training that drivers that brake hard for people in wheelchairs is really dangerous. We end up sliding forward in our chairs and don't have the ability to push back. So I just wanted to say that.
Okay, Jessica.
Thank you.
Jessica, I'm right here.
Right here.
Could you go to Stephanie before, for the next question? I know that we're expecting a response.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying that if someone responds to that question, then the next question is Stephanie's right here.
Oh, okay. I
Okay.
was gonna go here, but that's.
Yeah, Stephanie,
Yeah.
and then,
Thank you for that question that you had in the comments that you gave us. I took notes on those. I mean, I've addressed the lateness and we are aware of it. We are acknowledging it. We do have different ideas and things that we're trying on a regular basis, daily. Kathy, my ops manager sitting next to me, her and I are meeting on it several times throughout the day. I have the software program up on my computer where I can see the on-time performance hour by hour. Like yesterday, I can't even tell you how many times I looked at it. I mean, I'm saying like 20 times. I'm obsessed with it because of the fact I know how much that affects our passengers. And to even kind of go beyond that, it affects our drivers. It affects our reservationists, our dispatchers, the management that's out there. Nobody's, really happy when we have a service that's running down on time. And there's a lot of stress that goes with it because everybody that, at least that I have met on our side with our staff at SacRT GO, they are here for a reason. They have a purpose. They are connected with what service we're putting out there and how valuable it is for you that are here in the community. And it bothers them when those issues arise. So that's why we're trying to address it. I mean, not only is it going to benefit the passengers, it's also going to benefit the team. And then we're going to have just, a better service overall. But the challenges is coming out of this COVID. And as I've been crunching the data, and even where I've seen it other places, as we're coming back to service and getting closer to full pre-COVID numbers, it's a little bit of a challenge. It's like growing pains, and we're on top of it. Kathy I'm very impressed with some of the ideas. I think it comes from her time at Paratransit Inc. and looking at ways that we can make the service better.
Okay, right here. I have a question right here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Watts here in Sacramento, and thank you, user, for coming out to our beautiful city. Light the beam. You're going to see that. And so my question has to do with the complaint process. And I understand from personal friends and acquaintances and others that it's best to, of course, you guys as well, that it's best for us to share our concerns through the complaint process, as well as our commendations for people. So I do have commendations that I'll take the time to write. But with respect to complaints, I would like to see a process implemented where the complainant gets some kind of feedback. And I understand that for various reasons, confidentiality, et cetera, you may not be able to tell me personally that person was fired or tell me what kind of remedy there was, but we need to know there's some remedy because there's a pull and tug here. We make complaints, we hear nothing, maybe if you do, but I don't ever hear anything when I've made complaints. And I'm not blaming anyone there on the panel. I just don't know if there is a process to loop back to us when we have filed a complaint to say at least you've been heard, we've acknowledged it, we've resolved it, or it's still in process. Or do I need to constantly call you and waste people's time? Your staff is busy and do that. So if that's something you can consider, I'd be greatly appreciative.
Yeah, I really appreciate that comment. And it is something that in my short time here, because I started on March 20th, I haven't been here a long time, but I have already had those discussions and seen what we can do to get the feedback to the passengers or the person complaining, and even sometimes complimenting, because we have had several compliments, even just past week. It isn't like we don't receive them, we receive them regularly, but getting you the feedback, like you said, generically, like it has been addressed. And thank you for doing that. You know, at least that way, you know that there was some type of follow through. So I'll continue to have discussions and see what we can get in place so that you can get that additional feedback.
And I have a question here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, Rick Hodgkins here. I don't know if anyone here still recognizes me except for Stephanie to my left. Thank you to the driver who spoke. I don't like sitting in rush hour traffic either. The freeway is like a parking lot. And I want to point out that U-Serve is better than dealing with yellow cab, especially because Fred Pline. I don't know if that U-Serve driver is still here, but especially because Fred Plinus no longer owns Yellow Cab. It's owned by a conglomerate now. The vast majority of drivers who now work for Yellow Cab are in it for the money. But the only two things I definitely that can be better with U-Serve is that we still have drivers that insist that the person go out and find them, that which I cannot go out and find them. Yeah, it's just preposterous. And the second thing is, do drivers insist that the passengers sit in the back? I feel like a small child sitting in the back or a criminal sitting in the back of a police car. And, that's too small. I can't, most of the cars are small and it's tough getting out of the back, especially my height. I prefer to, and luckily I had to convince a driver of a Honda Civic today that I insist on sitting up front because it's a small car. That's, and like I said, oh, by the way, not to talk about particularly specific trips, but I had to make sure that I was able to contribute to the conversation. And because I also wanted to go out to lunch at Jim Boy's Taqueria next door, I had to switch my trip today from a 3 o'clock to a 4 o'clock going back home because I wanted to make sure the dispatch said in a stern tone today, well, your ride going home will be based on availability because it's, you're looking at 4 o'clock. And I said, that's fine. But this is what we're forced to deal with, mandatorily so. I didn't say why I wanted to switch the ride, but I don't think they realized that, All right, thank you.
Jessica, I would like to go to a virtual question.
Okay, virtual
And
question. Are
it's
you going to
Richard.
unmute it? Okay, let's see. Oh, Richard, we are going to allow you to talk. 1 second. Richard online, you can ask your question.
All right. Can you all hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right.
I'll repeat it.
I just want to say that I echo the ladies' issue with U-Serve at the Arden Fair. It's a big issue, and I've had drivers not locate me for quite a while. I would appreciate a response to that eventually. Also, what is our recourse for drivers' cars who have horrible odor? I get into a lot of cars where it's really bad body odor, and it's not cool. And I would like there to be the 13750 Zip Pass available on Zip Pass. Those are my 3 comments. And thank you, U-Serve, for being here. I wish I could be there, but I'm at the airport.
So SacRT GO is available on Zip Pass. Does everybody know that? All right, I like to hear that. There was a complaint about Arden Fair Mall, so I think that's something we'll have to take a closer look at. And did you want to take the second question?
Absolutely. And we've had some feedback, and I think Margie brought it up today too, about aromas and about sensitivity to odors and aromas. Yep, absolutely, in vehicles, and have just recently gone through remediation with our drivers in all markets, not just here, but in all markets. And we realize that it's, it's a sensitivity, it's an absolute issue, and it's not what we expect. We have, dress code expectations and vehicle cleanliness expectations. And so we're working on that with all of our drivers. I appreciate the feedback. And also, I'm going to echo, I guess, what Richard has said. We appreciate hearing specific instances too, because if there's one driver who maybe many people haven't experienced and it's one driver, we want to also be able to make sure that we are addressing that specifically individually.
Okay, I have a question here.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Boykin, and I've been with paratransit since 2005. And I have a question for the panel about the dispatch, not dispatch, the scheduling, how they schedule things. Sometimes they double book your rides and stuff. Like, see, I take chemo, and when you have a certain time to be at these places to get on the machines and stuff, and then you're more than 15 minutes late, you miss your time. And they ought to know when your bus is going to be late and be able to call you out of courtesy to give you option to find another way to get to your appointments. This is our livelihood, that we dealing with. And then when you call them, they have nothing to say but something rude and smart. And that's becoming a problem. Our drivers is out there busting their butts. It's not their fault. They try to do everything to accommodate us. So I feel if you're going to give them a schedule, a manifest to go by every day, let them determine which way to go. If they can get who needs to be at their appointment on time, with everybody being on time and nobody's being late. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Long as everyone can get there on time, it shouldn't be a problem. Just give them their manifest, let them figure it out. Then everyone's happy. Like, I had to be somewhere at a certain time that they had to go pick somebody else up. When you call in, they don't care about none of that. They don't even consider it. They don't say, okay, well, go ahead and drop her off, and then you pick the other one up. That other person don't have to be nowhere to 30 minutes after you need to be where you're going. I think that really ought to be taken in consideration. When you give them the manifest and the drivers look over it and they see that they can get this person where they need to be first, get the other one there second on time, I think that need to be taken into consideration. Then the passengers is happy, the drivers is happy, we all happy.
Do you want to talk about scheduling at all, Kathy?
So when you're on the ride, a driver does have the ability to ask for a trip deviation, and we'll definitely work with our dispatch, because we do agree that the drivers are out there, they're looking at a screen, so it is important a lot of times to do that deviation. So we'll definitely work with our dispatch crew.
I have another question here.
Thank you.
This is for Kathy on the panel and the other staff on the panel. On SacRT, I'm a new rider for one. I've been a rider for now almost 2 months. And my wife, Mary, she's been on for quite a while. So I just met her. I just met Kathy today. So it's good to see her on the panel and everybody else on the panel. But, I got to learn how to schedule paratransit. I schedule it like an hour before my appointment, and it's like 15 minutes till my appointment. It's like, no, I can't be doing that. So yeah, I just got to learn how to do it now, because my wife, she does it most of the time for me. But when I do it, it's like, no, 15 minutes, I'm an hour late already. It's because I scheduled the appointment. So it's like, no. So I got to learn how to schedule SacRT GO.
And is that something, Kathy, when someone calls in, can they talk about that? Can they say, I have an appointment at this time. Can you make a suggestion for me?
Absolutely.
I'll help you get out of here.
All the passenger has to do is let us know what time they need to be at a particular address. And then the reservationist can definitely help you with that.
Yeah, and
All
just
right.
kind of to add to that, especially for a new user of our system, that there's so many kind of regulations that we have on when you ask for a trip, what range of time we can offer you back, when you get picked up, how long until it's considered late, all of that. So it is sometimes challenging, especially for a new person using the system and new to paratransit. So anytime that you need help with that or any like suggestions when you're making your trip, don't be bashful in asking and saying, look, I need to make sure I'm there. Can you give me any suggestions? I will make sure and help me out on this. Okay.
Okay, I have another question here.
Yes, my name is Eva Nunez. I'd like to thank the original Trina from back in the 60s and where we're at today. I've ridden Sacramento. I'm glad for everyone that's put effort in this. The waiting time I agree with everybody. I was going to talk a little bit about bumps on the smart ride. We ride a smart ride and you're bumping. Even the drivers told me the other day that we should address that the bumps. A lot of us have back problems and the bumps could cause an accident and that would cause a liability either way. So I think that's a priority. I like to thank the Smart Ride for, I get a Social Security check and $1.25 helps me out monthly. I really appreciate that. And some of the people say that they would think if we had better Smart Ride trucks, it might be easier for everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't know if Albert wants to address our vehicles at all.
Can I just, before we respond, Miss Janice, are you in the room? Your ride is here. Miss Janice?
Coming right back here.
Okay, so Miss Janice is gone. All right.
Okay, I have a question right here.
Jessica, let me.
Sorry, Albert's talking, sorry.
So I did mention earlier that we have 16 new cutaways on order. One of the things that we have seen is a lot of the ride comfort on the cutaways and they bounce around a lot. These new cutaways are coming with an active rear suspension system. We're improving it just to improve the ride quality, to take those bumps out of the ride.
That's good to hear. We got those coming. Okay, question right here.
Thank you. My name is Regina Brink. Hi, everybody. I know a lot of you up there. And thank you for this panel. Really quick, with you, sir, it's great, but I would say the majority of my drivers don't come in. They don't come to the door. There's a few who do, but a lot sit in their vehicle and either text or call me. And T-Mobile treats it all as spam, so I never even get a call. It's silenced because T-Mobile thinks it's spam too. So maybe that's a good thing that you could do is contact the phone companies to straighten that out. But I thought they were supposed to come to the door. And of course, if I'm at church or something, I do go outside of the building at least so they can see me, but they're still sitting in their cars. And it is very difficult. I'm not going to go out and start trying to find a vehicle if I can't see. I'm sure if I said, hey, is there a youth service, someone might say yes, and they're not. So it's not a good idea for people who are visually impaired to try to find their vehicle. And since it's a door-to-door service, I think that's not getting across to many of the drivers. There are some good ones, but do I just call in every single time that happens? Because I will, but if that's how you want it handled.
So first, thank you for sharing. This is Jess Mooney at User. Because that is absolutely not our expectation. Our expectation and the instructions that drivers are given are to perform that door-to-door, true door-to-door service that you're expecting. And so if you can call in when it does happen, understanding that with specific drivers, that would be very helpful for us to understand. But it does sound like we can and need to reiterate overall the door-to-door service. We expect them to go knock on the door and make themselves known to you so that you don't have to make yourselves known to them specifically.
So guys, we have about 5 minutes left. I have a couple more people. I know I saw the hands up. So if we can ask our questions quickly, that'd be great. Next question right here.
Hi, this is Joni Patchy. And I just wanted to know, I'm confused about the 60 pass. At first I heard that it was going to be good for light rail and buses also, but I think I have a virtual one because it doesn't show up. Doesn't work.
Kathy had to step out. I'm not sure. if
Oh,
anybody
Kathy
else
stepped
did.
out.
let's hold on that question. Apologies.
We'll get
for
back to the
not-
60-day pass question.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
I
let
have
me
a
just,
woman right over here.
let me just mention, it is almost 3, as Jessica had said. I want to acknowledge that this was a learning experience for us to have the open house in the SacRT auditorium. We're learning a heck of a lot, and apologies, because I think that any future open houses, which we do plan to have more, will not be in such a small space. Now, this is a test for us. We're not passing with flying colors. And we apologize for the challenges. So we're learning a lot today.
All right, I got a couple more questions.
God bless you, everybody. Happy New Year. Everybody should know the Reverend Dr. Hicks. But nevertheless, I want to say, in spite of the negatives and the disadvantages and et cetera, this parallel transportation, you're number one. But Dr. Hicks wants you to get that monthly pass back. See, the doctor don't work anymore. Hello, I'm working for the Lord, but I know great is my reward in heaven. Get that monthly pass so I can go here, go there, preach the word and do God's work. All right, but anyhow, and the drivers, give them more pay. All right, I know what time it is. Doctors up on everything. Okay, they need more pay. I love you all. God bless you. May heaven smile upon each and every one of y'all.
All right, question right here.
Oh, no,
Oh, no, I had another one. Oh, out in the hall. Sorry, coming. Got a Kings fan.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Yep. Question I had, well, in April, when I was riding on bus one, and when I got on bus one, I had my Connect card with me, and they said on Tuesday, bus one, you get to ride free. And I was wondering if in May it's gonna be like that. Yeah, we can ride free on bus one on Tuesdays.
It's just, I can tell. It was just for the month of April. We celebrated our 50th anniversary. So we were offering free rides on bus and light rail on Tuesdays in April. We are looking at other opportunities for system-wide free rides, and we'll have more information on that. I do have a question out here in the hallway. Your question.
My question is, sometimes when the drivers come to the door, they don't let me know. I haven't had it real often, but it's enough that it concerns me. So, you know, I need to make sure when they knock, they let me know who they are, because sometimes, most of them do. Okay, so, and that's a good thing. But the other thing is sometimes they don't. So I don't know
To identify themselves.
who's at the door. So.
Well, yeah, we have it was another statement about if they do come, if and hopefully when they come to the door, that they're identifying themselves so that she knows who to answer the door to. Anyone else? Did you have a question?
Yeah, we'll take one more question. It's just after 3.
Yes, my name is Martha Torres, and I really do appreciate dispatcher because they really work hard to try to get us a ride. And I have some Seas candy for dispatcher. But also I would like to know, there was free rides for Regional Transit on Tuesday, every Tuesday of this month, and for the light rail and the regular bus. When are they going to do that for paratransit?
We did do it on Earth Day, Saturday, April 22nd. We did system free rides for all services. We are holding system-wide free rides on different days throughout the year. But as you know, it has a huge impact on us. So it's something we can't do all the time. So you have to understand it's a huge hit for us when we do that. It's something we want to offer. It's something we're passionate about, but we need to make sure that we're able to get you to your appointments. If you had somewhere to go that day, we don't want to affect you where you can't get there because it's a system-wide free ride and everyone's riding free that day, right? So we really have to find that balance to be able to offer that. But it's something we Carmen and I and Blanca, we've sat down and we've looked at, hey, what are some of these days that we can do throughout the year? So we have identified those and we should be hearing about those pretty soon. Question here?
No, I just want to say that if you on Medi-Cal to get to your doctor's appointments, you can always go to a medical bus, and they're very good if you're on Medi-Cal though.
Another suggestion. Well, we want to thank you all very much. I know there was questions. Oh, we do have upcoming meetings. Priscilla, do you want to update? I don't see her. So these are going to be the next SacRT GO open houses. We're going to hold the next one in August. We don't have the date yet, but again, we will send it back out. Can I find out who heard about this meeting through an email? Can you raise your hand? Okay. Who saw or heard about it from a poster on a bus? And who got the mailer in the mail? All right. So it was a good mix of communication to find out about it, I'm hoping. Okay. Well, I tried to find all the ways to communicate with you guys, right? So we will be selecting a date in August. So you'll be hearing about that at least by July. We should send that mailer out to let you guys know. And then again in December. So do we have the slide with the phone number? We wanted to share the phone number that people can call for any individual complaints. It's the regular phone number. So it's 916-321-2877. That's our general phone line. Is it option 2 and then option 2 again? Okay, so that's that regular phone number that many of you call when you're reserving a ride. So that's 916-321-2877, option 2, and then option 2 again. Definitely heard a lot of great feedback. Richard's going to be very busy going through a lot of these ideas. And so hopefully by August, we have, some of these things possibly implemented for you that we can share during our August meeting. So thank you again. And if there are any runoffs that anyone wants to stay around for, I think we could talk for a little bit individually. But again, you can always call that number. We want to urge people, if there's major issues going on, there's some of those things people talked about today. We want to make sure you're calling in so that they can be recorded. Thank you.